One thing's been made abundantly clear over the last 48 hours or so is that Comicsgate won the culture war in comics. We were right all along that these woke people going in, transforming the characters people love, changing Thor into a woman, making Spider-Man a black guy, making everybody gay all the time has just been destructive for the comic book industry as a whole. And it's to the point now they've made themselves so niche with comic shops closing, with books really not selling like they used to, that it's been just a complete train wreck on their end. So our replacement has done very, very well. I've made 12 plus graphic novels, and I say plus because I've got several, single issues out there in development. And they've all done very well. People have received them quite well. They really enjoy my Flying Sparks stories, especially. You can check those out in the description below if you guys want to check out my work and, of course, support the channel here, support our creative efforts. We do pledge, of course, to never have any of that woke content in our books, and I appreciate you guys for being great customers. We listen to your feedback. We value you. That's the difference between us and Marvel and DC at this juncture. They don't give a fig about you because they just care about the corporate branding, their corporate clout, and it doesn't matter who the end customer is at the end of the day because these companies don't even care. They're just holding the rights and keeping the IPs for movie purposes. The comics are just a secondary sort of thing. And of course, the writers and artists are just secondary, second-class citizens even there, just vying for that little clout at the end of the day. We saw Mags Visaggio got a little bit the other day. And what did Mags Visaggio do with it? And this is where Comicsgate really won. Mags Visaggio went and immediately started going after the Snyder Cut people who are very interested in that. And the people who were interested in the Snyder Cut were, again, mostly anti-woke people wanting to change change the DC films to be better on that front. And, it was really spearheaded by groups like Geeks and Gamers getting that going. And so once Mag started working for the Snyderverse, this new Rebel Moon property, writing comics, it was all about just trying to own those people and trying to get those people riled up in order to promote this comic book. Because they know that they don't actually have any good content to their names. And this isn't the only time, of course, this happened. We had another big announcement this week, which we'll get to in just a second. All right, so the news I'm going to bring up is going to be coming from Arkhaven's blog, arkhaven.com. Arkhaven is a website where you can post comics and you can post prose fiction. You have to, of course, get with the site owners. It's like a webtoon kind of thing, and you can read all these different books on there. Right now, you can see this is my Saga of the Nano Templar. We're putting this up, this first book, in installments. This is a prose book, not a comic, just so people can read it and get attuned to my writing. And, of course, I hope more people come in and check things out. It's doing very well. It's got 13 million views on this website so far. It's one of the best kept secrets on the internet because there's a lot of good comics on here. You see Flying Sparks, my comic, which we've been, of course, running for years. And we see a bunch of other stuff through here as well. You get Chuck Dixon's works on here quite a bit. My friend The Quaff with his Shotgun Samurai's on here. So go check it out. It's a good way to see our work, read things on a screen real quick, and see if you want to come in and be our patron and support us in the art that we're creating. And we appreciate everybody who reads. At the end of the day, that's what it's about, people reading stuff. And that's not what's not really happening at DC Comics. So we talked about the Green Lantern situation the other day, where Tim Sheridan was going out there saying they don't like there's a queer hero in the upper ranks of the DCU. There's a huge market for authentic stories about LGBTQIA plus characters. Force those Comicsgate trolls back under a bridge, they called out from. Well, if there was a huge market for it, why would it be all about Comicsgate, which is like a niche movement? We're small creators trying to get attention for ourselves, doing things independently. This guy's working for a major corporation in Warner Brothers, and he has a huge property, the Green Lantern, which everybody knows. There's been a movie of it, for God's sake, and he's worried about his sales to the point where he's got to talk about us. And so this is exactly what Dark Herald says over at the Arkhaven blog. Yeah, obviously. Look, guys, Comicsgate is over and the big two lost bigly. This is it. And this is an interesting take saying Comicsgate's over because we won at the end of the day. And we did win. If you look at how Comicsgate started, it was about, a guy, which is mostly Diversity in Comics, who used to be Diversity in Comics, RIP that channel, channel name rather, and your boy Zach, and he was just reviewing books and saying these suck. Why is Marvel and DC just making these shitty cringe characters all the time? And they, of course, tried to harass him out of New York Comic Con. They were conspiring as comic book professionals to get a reviewer thrown out of the con because they didn't like his reviews on YouTube.com. And they wanted to get him riled up. They said they were going to try to goad him into throwing a punch so that he would be guilty of assault. They said because he's a veteran, maybe they could trigger his PTSD somehow. It was really sick stuff. But these are all sick people at the end of the day. So, of course, when this came out, and of course, I got those screenshots, gave them to Megan Fox at PJ Media. And of course, we used the hashtag Comicsgate to promote this because there was a scandal in the industry. And then that hashtag caught fire and became synonymous with our movement later on. So that was it. We were rebelling against that sort of thing. As he says, it's not a rebellion anymore. It's a business model. CG has been revived into a hyper-successful indie scene. The reason the old indie comics petered out in the 90s was there was a 1-2 punch of the comic book shops failing in mass, combined with a big two being big enough to get out in front of the movement, which is Image Comics. While the big two don't seem much bigger than the indie houses these days, and genuinely talented creatives got screwed by lawyers assigned to mega corporations that still own the big two. Here's a surprise. It turns out creator-owned doesn't actually mean creator-controlled. Sure, the creator owns the character, but the big two can do whatever the hell they feel like with them. And of course, he's talking about Bill Willingham and what was going on with Fables in that regard. So he says, you don't have to make that deal. Not anymore, not today. When the legend Chuck Dixon was asked if he'd ever go back to DC Comics, he laughed loud and said, I can't afford the pay cut. That's right. Honestly, I don't know what Tim Sheridan makes on this stuff at all. But I'm pretty sure, like, just due to your support, like just directly interacting with the customers, that I make more on my comic books than Tim Sheridan does working on this Green Lantern book by any stretch of the imagination. And that's really sad. I mean, it's not sad for Tim Sheridan. His talent level is, of course, not anywhere near mine, so it makes sense. But it's sad that like something like a Green Lantern property really isn't getting the creators any sort of money, which is why they have the talentless in there to begin with. They can't afford people like me. They can't afford people like Chuck Dixon. They can't afford people like Ethan Van Sciver, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And that's why we've won. We don't need this. We don't need the validation of pretending like these characters from the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, something that was created by grandparents of folk these days, are somehow like more valid of characters, better characters just for existing back then than we have now. Our characters are good, just as good. Many of them are even better, and we've really refined what we've got going, and that's why Comicsgate has won and will win in the future. Things are looking up. Things are looking bright. This is the very beginning, the tip of the iceberg of our indie movement, and the best is yet to come. All right, have a great Sunday, my friends. I hope you enjoyed a positive video for today. Enjoy your week, and of course, God bless your families. We'll see you soon.